Hi, and welcome back to another episode of SEO On-Air. I'm your host, Aaron, and today we talk to Jason Hennessy, CEO of Hennessey Digital. He's the author of two books, Honest SEO and Law Firm SEO, and we talk about how he got into digital marketing, the obstacles he faced, and how he got over them. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Could you maybe outline what were some of the biggest changes that you saw over the years, back in 2001 till now?
Yeah. So in terms of like SEO, well, first of all,
And
SEO
maybe
was
some digital marketing as well.
digital marketing. So back then, like for example, like there wasn't really Google AdWords at that time. It was something called Overture was the tool that people used, and so I got turned onto this Overture tool, and nobody knew about it really. So like I was bidding on keywords for like 2 cents and getting so much traffic as a result of that. And so, then I started to toy around with the algorithms, and experimenting with different strategies and techniques that I was reading from the book that I had purchased. And so, SEO wasn't all that hard back then, and it wasn't all that competitive. And if you knew how to do it, like you were like, it was like black magic, like, oh my God, you know how to like do this SEO stuff. And it wasn't, there was just basic stuff back then, like, optimizing a title tag, right? Putting keywords in your meta keywords back when those used to work.
Like the basic stuff you find today were probably the advanced strategies back of 2001.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's basically how it worked. Yeah, for sure. And back then, the thing that really worked was like keyword density and writing the content so that you've got the keywords so many times on the page. And so the algorithm was a completely different algorithm, right? So when you read, something on the web, it didn't make any sense because it had so many keywords in there that were bolded and stuff. So the evolution of SEO has certainly come into a whole different perspective now. Yeah.
When exactly was the birth of Hennessey Digital?
So Hennessy Digital came as a byproduct of me selling my first agency. So I had another agency that I had built up starting in 2008. And so I sold that agency to my business partner in 2015, at which point my wife and my family, we were all moving to California. We were living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. And so my son was going to become an actor. We were packing up, heading out west. And I took like a sabbatical, absence for about 6-8 months where I played tennis like every day. That's all I did. And then I got the itch to kind of get back into the marketing scene, and I created another agency, and I just called it Hennessey Digital. And it was just me, and eventually me turned into two other people. So there's three of us, and then three of us turned into five of us, and now here we are 8 years later, I guess. Yeah, so 15 to 23. The last 5 years we've made the Inc. 500 fastest growing private companies in America. And we've built an amazing culture. We've got about 130 full-time employees now. But yeah, that's when Hennessy Digital started, was about 2015.
If you did have ChatGPT back when you wanted to start writing honest SEO, do you think that it would have maybe helped out a bit more in terms of at least creating the content side of it?
Yeah, I think, it's a good question, right? Because you can basically put in some prompts and it'll spit back some data.
Right.
But
there are some templates now, I think, that you can just enter a few details and it'll kind of do the work for you.
Yeah, you could, but I think like I might have used that to do like, how would you reword this, right?
Right.
But I want the creativity to come from me and not from a prompt that's pulling from some kind of a database of words. Because then it's not truly like my story with my personal experiences.
Right.
And so, but I definitely would have used it to like, how could I reword this? Potentially, like I use that now, like ChatGPT, like I'll I'll write an email and I'll basically put it in there and I'll say like, embellish this email or shorten this email or, rewrite this email, and then you have like an email that you can kind of fire over. So I
Right.
probably would have used it that way, I think.
Like ChatGPT, I think for the most part is right now a really good editor for stuff.
It is.
It can clean up a lot of your content, but if you do ask it to kind of create that new content, it's going to be you're going to need someone to actually go through it and proofread it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, right? I think human beings have experiences in life that can, evoke emotion, right?
Right.
I can talk about my personal experience growing up and losing a loved one, and you know what I mean? And then, the other person that's reading that might be touched and might cry or might laugh, right? Whereas I don't know if ChatGPT can really share personal stories to evoke emotion.
Right.
So I think that's
It
really
can
where
share a
that
story objectively, I think.
I
And
think
it can
it
maybe
can.
it
Yep.
can tug at your emotions, but I don't think at the same level as another human interaction.
Understood. Yeah, that's kind of, I feel the same way. Yep.
But in terms of, let's say, using AI tools like ChatGPT for kind of expanding your agency, let's say, or at least improving the productivity or efficiency, is
Yep.
that something that a lot of agencies should be looking towards? Or is, let's say, hiring the right person just easier?
No, I think 100%. I think, when AI came around, like, you're looking at it as either, an opportunity, right. Or a threat, right. I think that's kind of how you look at it.
Right.
And I think those that look at it as a threat and don't want to embrace the change, those are the people that the industry is going to spit out, right?
Yeah.
So we see it as an opportunity. We are doing a lot of experimentation with AI, both in developing content briefs, helping us write content. We're using it to translate websites in multiple languages. We're using it to kind of do things with data, both in terms of optimizing data for search engines, or summarizing data with regards to some of the leads that we develop for our clients. So there's a lot of cool things that we're doing with it so far, and we even have a hackathon coming up next week where a couple of our engineers, because we're off for Thanksgiving and that's an American holiday, and some of our engineers don't have that time off because they celebrate their holidays in their country. And so during that time where it's going to be quiet, we're doing a hackathon where they're all going to be kind of coming up with cool concepts on how to leverage AI to become more efficient and effective. So
Is there a little teaser you could maybe give into that? Some ideas that you could probably share that might come up in the hackathon?
yeah. Well, for one, and this one's for the most part already complete, is like I said, we're able to take a full website, and let's just say the website's 5,000 pages. Based on us kind of developing a tool, it goes in and it basically crawls the entire website. It creates URL structure that is in multiple languages. It creates subfolders. It creates hreflang tags. It creates alternate tags, which are important in terms of if you're watching this video and you don't know what SEO is, that's how you basically tell Google that, hey, this is the Spanish version of this page, and it adds canonical tags. And then basically it goes through and it translates the entire page. All the internal links get changed, right? And so now you have a website that might have 5,000 pages indexed on Google, and next thing you know, you have 10,000 pages because you have a whole second language. And so all the
Right.
keywords that you're ranking for in English, you're now starting to rank for in Spanish or French or Portuguese. And so we've had a lot of success with that so far, just kind of leveraging the power of AI.
Is that a feature that is, let's say, available only to people within Hennessy, or
So yeah, I get that question a lot once I tell people about it because it is very innovative.
right?
Right
And
now
I think
it's,
we would like to kind of promote that idea if you don't mind.
yeah, it's a product that we can certainly look at launching soon, but you know, most products that are being commercialized typically start because you're trying to solve a problem. And we
Right.
were just trying to solve a problem internally for our company. And so, but now that we have it, we're continuing to refine it and perfect it. And I've had so many people that say, "Is this available? Can we like buy this?" And it
Yeah.
hasn't been yet, but eventually I think we'll probably bring that on the market too.
To kind of go back into the Hennessy Digital part, when it did come to starting off that agency, did you know exactly who you had in mind to kind of fill up the employee ranks? Or was it kind of like a learning process over time?
No, I think that's really a learning process. I think, when you're first starting an agency, it's usually just you, right? Like you're just
Right.
working and you're acting as the account manager, you're acting as the strategist, you're acting
You've
as
got all the
accounting.
feathers in the
Yeah,
cap.
all of that stuff, right? But then at some point in order to kind of grow to the next level, you have to hire people, right? You can't do everything. And I think early on, typically you don't have a big budget. So you end up hiring people that you can afford.
Right.
And in most cases, the people that you can afford are not really the well polished, experienced professionals, but instead it's typically maybe like somebody that's right out of college that you have to train and teach. And, at those times, you don't really have a lot of time to train and teach them because you're working and moving 1,000 miles an hour and then they're working and then they're making mistakes and, you're trying
You
to
got to
fix
go
their
back.
mistakes. Right. And so, and then a lot of people make the critical error of, of then promoting people. And, just because it's more of like a vanity thing, you're like, I need a chief marketing officer. You're now my CMO, right? And meanwhile, it's a college student that just started working 6 months ago, and now they're walking around with a badge of CMO, right?
Right.
So they're definitely not qualified to be a CMO. They're not experienced. And as you kind of grow, you realize that, and then and then at some point, you really need to hire a real CMO because you're at that position of your business, and you have to like fix a lot of the mistakes that you made, so I think that's really why businesses fail within the first year. Most
Right.
small businesses fail within the first year is because you can only hire the people that you can afford. You're making these mistakes, you're promoting people that shouldn't be promoted, that don't have the experience, and it just kind of gets you into trouble.
There was kind of an idea that I kind of got during having like doing these podcast episodes, and one of the guys actually mentioned that they were a fractional CEO.
Mm.
Is that something that would probably work out with Hennessy, or at least an agency that is like just getting its footing in its first year, probably?
Yeah, I don't think, I think you can hire fractional like CFOs, you can hire fractional CMOs, like chief marketing officers. I think it'd be really hard to hire a fractional CEO,
Right.
because usually the CEO is the vision of the company. And
Right.
it's hard to hire somebody that's outside to come in on a part-time
Mm,
basis to steer
right.
the vision, right? First of all, they probably don't even have the vision, right, for this company. And then they've got to take that hat off. And now they're the visionary of a different company, right?
Right.
So I think it'll be really hard to hire a CEO that's a fractional guy or
Right.
lady.
But if you were to start off, let's say your agency, hiring a fractional CMO or CFO would probably be a lot easier than hiring, let's say, an intern
That's right. Yeah, correct.
or
If it's like
multiple
a
interns.
CMO or something, sure, or a CFO, absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
I'm going to try to use this quote, and I hope I'm quoting it right. I think this is from you as well. But I've
Mm.
learned to hire the right people to do what they are best at, then get out of their way to let them be amazing.
Mm.
So when you did start Hennessy, what were, let's say, some of the top things you were looking for when hiring the right person?
And that's been an evolution, right? Because I certainly didn't hire all the right people,
Right.
coming up. But once you start to hire the right people, a big part of that was getting coaching, right? So getting a coach to kind of tell me, how do I delegate? What should I be looking for in hiring people? What roles? Um, and so, what I ended up doing was just basically looking at everything that I was doing personally. I would look at like measure like an entire week. Like wake up in the morning, I check emails. I spend 2 hours doing that. Then from there, I go on a client call. Then from there, I go on a sales call. Then from there, I do this, I do that, right? And I start to kind of document like, okay, great, like am I like really good at this task? And, yes or no, and if it's, no, and then I ask like, how much could I pay somebody to do this? Right. And it's like, oh, I
Right.
could pay somebody $20 an hour to do this. Right. And so as you start documenting your day, right, like, wow, I'm writing a book right now. Like, could I pay somebody to do this? Not really. Like, am I really good? Do I love this? Yes. Right. So that's something that's unique to me, right? That's something that I really can't hire somebody to do that. Right. And when you tally it all up, like I realized that like 70% of my time of what I was doing, I could basically delegate to somebody that I can pay, X dollars per hour. Right. And then you start to hire the people to kind of offload that stuff, which allows me to kind of focus on more of the stuff that's unique to me. Right. So,
What were the top three qualities you looked for in an employee? Or at least what are the top three things you look for that other CEOs or other founders can use to, again, hire the right people for the right team?
now we have a whole, we've got VP of people success, and we've got a whole like HR team, right? And so for the most part, they do most of the recruiting these days. But back when I was doing the recruiting, I look for people that are creative. So rather than just send in a resume that looks like every other resume, like if somebody sent in a resume with a video of their personality and talking about their
Right.
family and what they enjoy doing on the weekends and why they feel that they would be qualified for this position, I think that would really stand out to me more than just somebody that just kind of sent over a resume. So that's one of the first things that I look for is creativity. The second thing is just like, looking at their values, like, asking all the right questions to make sure that their core values are in alignment with our core values. And then the third thing that we do typically when we will create job or positions, there'll be like a little hidden test within the actual application, like, in the subject line, like it might be buried like in the job description, but it'll say like in the subject line, please put hire me, right? In the subject line, right? And so
Right.
when they respond to it, if they don't put hire me, then I can tell that they don't pay attention to details.
Right. Right.
And
They
so
didn't
that's
really read
also,
through the fine print.
yep, yep. So like there's things like that that you can basically weed out 70% of the people that are actually applying. And then from there, now you're kind of down to like 30%, which then where you're looking for the creativity and then the personality and make sure that they're a good cultural fit too.
What exactly do you think is the future of Hennessy Digital? Where do you see them going in a couple of years?
Yeah. Well, we try to do an exercise every 3 years where it's basically my vision of the company. And so this came from my coach, a guy by the name of Cameron Harold. He wrote a book called Vivid Vision. And if you're watching this podcast and you are, in charge of the vision of your organization, you might want to pick that book up. But basically what I did was, I go to a hotel and I basically spend 2 full days by myself without any distractions. And I just kind of
Right.
sit down and I just kind of put together bullets of like, what do I envision the company is going to look like in 3 years from now? Not 5 years, not 10 years, not 1 year, but 3 years is kind of like a good attainable time frame. And then I just start documenting like, oh, we have 130 employees now. I think in 3 years we'll have 200 employees. Okay, great. We're going to be in this office building. Okay, great. The color of the walls are going to be like red, and they're going to have like, you can clearly see like what, and then from there, now you have all these bullets, right? It might be like 5 pages long of just bullets of what you envision what the company is going to look like in 3 years. And then from there, once we have that, then we actually hire a professional storyteller that basically takes those bullets and then converts
Right.
it into a story as though it has already happened. And then from there, then we send it over to our graphic design team and they basically put together all the design elements to make it look real, like it has happened. They show the building, they show the red wall, right? And it's in the story. And so from there, then what we do is we actually publish that on our website. And so if you go to hennessy.com and then you go to about, and then under the about section, it says where we're going. That's the vivid vision from 3 years ago, right? And so, and so every 3 years we do that. And the reason why we do it is because we want the whole company bought into the vision, and they need to be as crystal clear as I am with the vision. Right. And a lot of times, like, the CEOs have a vision, but nobody knows what the vision is because it's inside their head. So that's kind of where I think our company's going. So if anybody wants to see where we're going, just constantly follow our website and click where we're going. It's public.
If I am, let's say, a very inspired person who's got a bit of creativity and I've got the, let's say, budget for it as well, I want to start off an SEO agency that's, let's say, just managing other people's SEO websites. What would be, let's say, the most basic steps I should be taking to kind of get to my goal without any hiccups on the way?
So you're basically looking to start an agency, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yeah.
First thing I would say is hopefully you've got some experience and you might have interned or worked at another agency before. That's usually the best way to learn.
Right.
And assuming that you did that, I'd find a coach early on. If you can afford it, right? If you can afford it, try to find a coach or at least a mentor. Maybe find somebody that's in the industry, that's a friend that you can take to coffee every once in a while and just kind of pick their brains, right? Somebody that has already paved the path there, because that'll definitely give you a lot of advantages and like what not to do. And then from there, just kind of getting started, you just basically roll up your sleeves and just, embrace the fact that you're going to make mistakes. But that's the building blocks for success, is the failures. And then just get started and just work hard. You'll probably find yourself working 10, 12 hours a day, and that's typically what's necessary when you're getting started. Because in the early days of kind of building an agency, you're basically, you're trading your time for dollars, because you don't have the experience. And then later on, like once you kind of build an agency, then you'll slowly start trading the dollars away for your time back, right? So you'll take some of the dollars and you'll hire people so that you get more of your time back, right? And as far as getting business, you could either reach out to other agencies to try to get some of their overflow and maybe do some white label services or something like that, or you can just start marketing. And then eventually maybe you write a book and you become a thought leader and you're on podcasts, right? Like it's just an evolution, but I'd say don't give up.
Right. I think it's like taking that one step at a time, but you have to take that first step, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It's scary. Yeah. It's a scary journey, but it's very rewarding. Yeah.
One more thing is that if, let's say, I do want to put in that time, the 10 to 12 hours a day to get to where I need to be, how do I avoid the burnout part of it? I know that the hustle culture is something that a lot of people are really striving for, but they kind of leave out the burnout part of it.
I don't think there's really any way to kind of leave it out. Like, I think eventually you will find yourselves getting burned out, right? That's just par for the course. It will happen. Right. I think, you have to kind of have your own ways in which you kind of deal with stress, because there will certainly be stress, and have different passions and hobbies that you like doing as well. Don't give up on that. So if you enjoy playing basketball, and you play in a league every Tuesday night, like don't stop doing that, because that's kind of like what takes you away and de-stresses you, right, from work.
Right.
A lot of times people go all in and they basically just kind of stop their life. And sometimes that affects their family dynamic and it leads to divorces and all this other stuff because people are uncomfortable and there's a lot of change and stress. But you really have to like mentally prepare yourself that, that this is going to be a different journey. There's going to be a lot of change. But, and you're going to be doing things that are outside of your comfort zone, but that's how you grow in life, is you have to do things that are outside.
You have to get it out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you had, let's say, 1 to 2 minutes to plug whatever you want to plug, this would be the time for it, at least.
Yeah.
You can give a shout out to yourself, your website, Hennessy, the books that you have. You have 2 minutes to give it your all.
Yeah. Thank you. If you're looking to learn about SEO, I definitely recommend purchasing the book Honest SEO. It's a great read. I've got a lot of good reviews from it. You can purchase it on Amazon. It'll ship it right to your house. My agency is called Hennessey Digital. If you're looking for a partner, we mostly work with law firms. That's kind of what we specialize in the United States. And then the third tool is something that I'm really excited by. It's called Powa, POWA.com. And this is a tool that allows WordPress websites to pass core web vitals and increases their page speed. And it's a tool that we develop for our clients that we use, which helps you rank higher on Google. And so now, because we spent so many thousands of hours developing it, we opened it up as a commercial product that you can purchase. Again, POWA.com.
Thank you for the chat, Jason. It's been great. I'm looking forward to stealing all these ideas and using it for ourselves. But I'm glad at least we had this conversation, and I hope a lot of more people who do watch in this kind of get the same kind of tips and tricks that you've shared out. So thank you again for that.
Well, thank you. The pleasure is all mine, and I really appreciate you having me on the show today. Thank you.
Thanks for watching that episode. I hope you enjoyed. For more videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe.